Hi there. We're towards the end of reporting season now for the 6 months, and there are a lot of big stock movements from particular investments. So I thought I'd do something a bit out of the ordinary and record an update on some of those. But before I do, I've had a lot of well wishes from my promotion that's come through in the last couple of months, but two questions that are being asked consistently, and I thought, of those that have asked, those clients that have asked, I'm sure there's a whole lot more that are thinking the same thing. So first one is, am I handing over clients to another advisor? No, that is not the case. I'll still be looking after all of you. You'll still all be working directly with me. Obviously we've got Rebecca working alongside me, and she's come to a few of your meetings. Rebecca will continue to work alongside me, and in time our team will grow, but for the foreseeable future I will still be looking after all of you. The second question that's come up a few times now is, do I have time to be seeing new clients? Absolutely I do. So if there was friends or family, anyone you thought of that you were considering introducing to me, I would love to meet them, love to help. I've got plenty of time for seeing new clients. Rebecca and I have got things down pat now, and looking forward to helping more and growing more clients into the future. I understand making that initial introduction to me with friends and family can be a little bit daunting. If you're stuck on maybe how to do that, don't hesitate to reach out. I can help you there. Now on to the main purpose of this video. As I said, I wanted to just share a few highlights from some of the investments or the shares that have reported this reporting season. As you know, we tend to pride ourselves on the strategy work and all of that we do with our clients, and then the flow and effect from there is the investments. So they obviously do play a key role in the planning that we're doing with you. Now, whether you hold these shares directly or not, you will definitely have some of these in maybe some managed funds that you hold or some index investments that you hold. So you may not have each of these names that I'm about to mention in your investments. Doesn't mean that you should, doesn't mean that you shouldn't. I just want to comment on them anyway. This also isn't a recommendation to buy or sell them, it's just to highlight what's gone on this reporting season. So the first one that I want to mention is Santos. The day they reported, we saw their share price rise by in excess of 11%. A couple of things has driven that. They've announced a return to paying dividends and also the acquisition of a West Australian gas producer by the name of Quadrant Energy. The stock is now also approaching a takeover offer that was only offered 3 months ago and was rejected as being too low. Some people laughed that the takeover offer was rejected. Now seeing Santos' share price up pretty high. Telstra, and I had a lot of conversations with a lot of clients about Telstra in the last little while. They've seen two big spike ups in their share price of late. The first one was when they handed down their 2018 profit numbers. And the big thing there was no further bad news, and so we saw a big rise in their share price then, and then more recently in the last week or so, news has come out. TPG and Vodafone may or are looking at merging. That would mean that there'd be 3 big telcos in the marketplace, not 4. So there's the theory there that there'll be less price competition, which will obviously be good for Telstra. A not so good news story, Ansell looks to be the first of the Australian businesses that's caught up with this tariff war between the Americans and the Chinese. There was a report out in the last couple of weeks that the tariffs on steel and aluminium imports, together with tariff on exported rubber gloves out of China into the US, could potentially drop Ansell's profits by 7%. They've also came out and handed down their own profits for FY18. We saw a 23% increase in Ansell's profits. So the profits weren't enough to offset the concern that the tariffs could dampen Ansell's profits. QBE was a bit of a better one, up in excess of 6%. As with Telstra, they delivered a profit result that didn't have any more bad news, which in turn becomes good news, and hence their profit was up in excess of 6%. The efforts that they're making to turn the business around certainly seem to be working. Origin Energy, their update saw the share price drop in excess of 6%. Now, it was due to a one-off issue around the future earnings from their energies markets business. So they do some hedging around energy costs in there, and they've had a one-off hit of $160 million to provision for future earnings or loss of future earnings from that business. A little bit more positive news with CSL. Now CSL handed down their profit, which was just in excess of what everyone was expecting of them. Previous guidance was for CSL to deliver profit somewhere between 1.68 billion and 1.71 billion. They ended up delivering a profit of 1.73 billion, and hence their share price was up in excess of 5%. NIB, similar story. NIB was up nearly 10%. Profits for 2018 were 184 million. Previous guidance for the business was a minimum of 165 million. The main reason for that was due to lower than expected claims costs. Last couple was Crown. We saw Crown up nearly 7%. Now full year profits come in at touch over $385 million. Beating expectations, which was at about 368 million. More importantly though, there's been nearly a 55% increase in the revenues that they get from their VIP gamblers. Asian gamblers have started returning back to the Crown casinos. You might remember a little while ago there was a number of staff that were locked up. That spooked people off for a little while. That seems to have disappeared. And then the final one, another positive, Brambles. We saw them rise in excess of 6%. A couple of things there, but the main one is that they announced the demerger of their plastic container business, as well as reported a fourfold increase in their profit. So big increase in profit, and announced demerging of their reusable plastic container business. So for the most part, businesses that have reported so far, we've seen strong increase in profits. As you know, those 7 or 8 stocks that I've just mentioned there, only 2 of those were negative, everything else was positive, and hence we're seeing investments doing quite well at the moment. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, please reach out. Thanks.